Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined by these three lovely gentlemen. Dorian Foley, what's up, man? He has to step out, but I promise he's there because those are his initials on the wall. Kyle West, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? I'm going pretty good.
Dude, I try every week to do this in a different order on purpose, and that was just – I swung and missed so hard. Dorian's back. What's up, dude?
Yo. What's going on, y'all? Gold Vikings, all that good shit, mo shit. Let's just do this. Yeah.
I like it.
I'm saying words right now.
Words. Here's a word, Adam, and another word is Carlson.
Hi. I noticed that we have the episode numbered incorrectly, so this is 322, not 321, but
ooh,
it's just a start.
Actually,
a start, but it's okay.
I think we're behind on our episode numbers anyway. I think we screwed up a long time ago and just never fixed it.
Oh, we've messed up so many times on so many things.
Yeah. There's probably like an extra, I don't know, 2 or 3 that you can tack onto that number.
Next week, episode 500.
Yeah, why not?
Sure.
Whatever we do here, because proofreading, that's for losers.
It's not our forte. This is not the proof.
Let me tell you something. If I've learned one thing in life, it's don't check your work, all right? It wastes too much time. Just turn it in.
Someone on the internet will correct you anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, there's a lot of helpful people out there that are really friendly that'll tell you when you're wrong. It's really good. This is episode number 322 of the Purple People podcast. It is entitled Barely Eagle, which I can't do it. I can never come up with these puns. So I give all the other guys credit for that. We're going to talk about the recent.
That had to be an Adam Carlson title.
Yeah, absolutely. It always is.
That was way too good for any of us.
It's like when someone just passed the bar and now they're a lawyer. They're barely legal.
I like it. Yep, we're going to talk about the recent win on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles 2 days ago. But first, as we always do here, we have quick hits for you guys. So we're going to jump right into those. Vikings activate linebacker Kentrell Brothers from suspension. They released the offensive lineman Brian Witzman. We kind of talked about this in the chat amongst ourselves earlier with him coming back. I don't think that we would ever say that linebacker is a weak spot. I know Anthony Barr is not playing up to our expectations, but we kind of figured that Kentrell Brothers was going to come back because he helps out a lot in the linebacker spot, and he's also a good special teamer. So he is back.
Yeah, we need that help on the special teams right now. We need a veteran back in that unit, and I think he'll help out. And, Marcus Sherrills should hopefully be back from whatever's ailing him here soon, too. So we have some core special teams guys. Yeah, we'll get some of those core special teams guys back, and that'll help the team out overall.
Yeah, Brian Witzman never saw much action anyway, and to be honest, he was kind of like just taking a spot on the roster that I don't think was ever going to get used. So if nothing, it's good to get him out of there and get someone in that might be able to contribute.
Precisely. Yeah, we're excited to have him back. I know he's gonna help improve the team. So it's not one of those people, like Adam said, to just fill in because they have to have somebody on the roster. He can actually contribute in more than one area. So that'd be cool to have him back.
Here we go on offensive line. So I kind of scratched my head a little bit with him being released, with Witzman being released to make rooms for brothers. That's just maybe my
sure.
Well, they didn't need him anymore once Elfline came back from his injury.
Is that the guy that we got from New York?
No.
Jones was that
this
guy?
This is just a different guy that they signed in free agency as a just in case kind of guy.
Okay.
And they didn't need him just in case. So out the door he goes for now.
Moving on, we have the Julian Kirk Cousins Foundation is established to help many causes, including the International Justice Mission, Urban Homeworks, Compassionate Heart, Holland Christian Schools, and Discovery Church. I'm not surprised at all coming from Kirk Cousins that he's doing and involved with something like this. This is awesome. I'm assuming Julie is his wife?
Yes.
Okay.
I was a little surprised that the foundation didn't exist before this, to be honest, because I had known that he had done a lot in the community, but it never had like that foundation established to help it out. And again, I hate to attribute this to the Minnesota Vikings culture, but I feel like they push these players to really kind of cement themselves as active in the community to help out those in need and to pursue causes that mean a lot to them as individuals. And yes, Kirk Cousins is a highly religious individual, so many of these causes for him are ones that promote his faith, and there's nothing wrong with that.
So I was
he also throws in things like Urban Homeworks, which if you're not familiar with Urban Homeworks, they do a ton of great things for people that just financially can't afford to upgrade their homes, prepare for winter, repair from storms, things like that. So I love that this is what's going on with Kirk Cousins and his wife.
So I was watching a video on Dennis Green, and they were talking about how a lot of the Vikings initiatives for helping out within the community have came from Denny Green. He started doing a lot of that, and then it was, their tradition continued on, afterwards, after his time in Minnesota. So I think that's really cool that, you can kind of date this back to Denny Green's time with the Vikings and say that, his legacy is still continuing on with the team with a lot of this community-focused work that they put forth and do.
I'll tell you, Adam said I hate to attribute it to the Vikings culture and around there, but I give it completely up. I've only visited Minnesota twice, and the Minnesota Nice thing, it's a real thing. People are so friendly there, so generous, so kind. And I think the thing that I wanted to hit on with this is Kirk wanted to feel wanted. I didn't feel that in Washington. I mean, I'm sure he wasn't complaining about the paycheck, but he wanted someone to commit to him, and that's what the deal was. We've all went over his deal and how much money he is and how many years and all that stuff, but he feels wanted here. I think this is a perfect area of the country for him to be in. It's right up his alley, and we remember he went to Michigan State. He's not that far from home, but this doesn't surprise me one bit that these two kind of meshed up, and now there's this new foundation for him and his wife. So this is awesome.
Absolutely agree.
Moving right along, NFL power rankings are out. We have sources like NFL.com, ESPN, Yahoo Sports, and Pro Football Talk. I actually listen to Pro Football Talk a lot when I go to bed just to absorb information. Love that too. I'll give free love for another show. The Vikings have ranked in the power rankings respectively for NFL, ESPN, Yahoo, and Pro Football Talk 9th, 11th, 6th, and 11th. So if I'm adding up my math right, we should be around the 8th or the 9th spot, averaging those out.
Yeah, when I put together my rankings or my review for the power rankings this week, most of the experts picked the Vikings to land around the number 9 spot. But there were some outliers that were really interesting because there are still some people that have the Vikings ranked extremely high and others that have the Vikings extremely low.
Right.
NBC Sports Chicago's Cam Ellis has the Vikings as the 16th best team in the NFL right now. And that's the lowest that I could find right now.
And I wonder where they got Chicago ranked, right, just out of curiosity.
And if you flip it over to the other side, you've got USA Today's For the Win, Stephen Ruiz, who has the Vikings ranked 2nd.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, it's a completely huge change between what experts see in the site. But, as I was saying in my article over there, I understand the huge gap because you've got the Vikings coming out, beating the world champions, pushing the Rams to the absolute limit, and then you've got them getting blown up by the Bills.
Yeah.
So, in those 5 weeks, you've got 3 games that just completely baffle you as to what this team is.
Yeah, I don't get it either. I'm looking at the – sorry to interrupt, Kyle. I'm going to throw in another point here so we can talk about this too. The NFL – especially NFL.com, they're throwing out way too early stuff. Like if the playoffs ended today after 5 games, there's like 5 weeks of playoffs, including the Super Bowl or close to it. So that's stupid to predict this from now. Just as a couple of years ago, we started 5-0 and we ended 8-8. And then last year we were 2-2 and at 3-13. Anything can happen. But right now the Vikings are sitting on the outside as the playoff hunt. We are right below the Packers. They are above us, if my knowledge serves me right, because they beat the Buffalo Bills and we lost to them. We have a lot more to play. They're going to lose to the Rams just like we did. A lot of things are going to shake out. But as of right now, we are the 8th seed. I mean, only 6 get in per conference. So just wanted to throw that in there. But I'm agreeing with most of these. I think 6 is way too high. I think 9 or 10 is a respectable number because the offense isn't what's lacking. It's the defense, but the defense showed up this past game. So I think that's about right.
I think 9-10 is about where you want to be. Mm-hmm. I want to give a quick shout out to some of the people in the chat that have showed up and already joining the conversation. We got William Kramer, we got Eric Grendel, we've got Jake Z. Just people starting to pop up and show up in the chat. So be sure to ask us some questions, leave us some comments. We'll be sure to get you involved.
And I was just going to say really quick about the team that we're starting to figure out what the what this version of the Minnesota Vikings is going to be like. And we've got some questions about this team, whether it be the ground game or some of the, they've been a little rocky on defense, but we're getting into the time of the year where good teams are going to figure it out. And, the Vikings going into Philadelphia and getting the win gives you a little more faith in this team moving forward. At least I think so anyway. So, we'll see what they can do moving forward.
Yeah, and I think this was a pretty decisive victory, too, over Philadelphia. And the fact they were able to push the Rams as far as they did was unbelievable. I still do believe that game against the Rams was such a fluke, but it's hard to forget about that completely because, yes, it happened, and it was embarrassing.
I missed last week's show, but really quick on the Rams game, they just couldn't catch up on offense. And, you can be pissed at the defense all you want, but the Rams are a high-scoring, high-powered offense. You almost can't blame them that much for not being able to stop them. And the Vikings offense, I don't even remember what Kirk Cousins threw for. It was a lot of yardage. They just couldn't catch up. And so, sometimes that happens.
Yeah, like I said last week, the Rams are going to make everybody look silly. I would not be surprised to see them as one of the teams in the NFC Championship game this year. Not surprised at all.
Especially with how the rules favor the passing game. You're just asking for teams to break records.
Well, it's not like Todd Gurley doesn't get things done either.
Fantasy points! I love that guy. All right, moving right along. Congratulations to Adam Thielen. This is going to be the talk of the show later on, I'm sure.
Yes.
He is the first NFL wide receiver since the NFL merger, the Super Bowl era, to have 5 consecutive 100-plus yard receiving games to begin the season. He currently has 3,113 career receiving yards. And 4 years ago, no offense to him, he was an afterthought on the team. Like, okay, cool, he's just on the depth chart. If these people get hurt.
He was a core special teams guy when he came on.
Absolutely. I still remember we were playing at the Gopher Stadium, and we beat the Panthers that day, and he scored his first touchdown. I still remember it like it was yesterday, and now he's just this route-running machine that's just out here making people look silly. So
Mike Zimmer talks about how Adam Thielen has so much heart. So much heart when he goes out there, and he just wants to work. And even when he has a big play, he comes to the sidelines and he's like, coach, I should have outrun him. I should have scored. I should have done better. And that's what's the difference between, what makes a player great like Adam Thielen. It's just that work ethic.
Let's throw the Mike Zimmer quote of the weekend here because it's about this exact same thing. Monday, Zimmer was asked, what is it about Adam Thielen that makes him so good? Mike Zimmer said he's a competitor. There isn't very many times that Adam doesn't make the play when he's given the opportunity. And that's exactly what we've seen this year is that he's been making after opportunity after opportunity and cashing in on all of them. I also wanted to add that Adam Thielen passed both Gene Washington and Chuck Foreman on the Vikings all-time receiving list. He is now 14, and that puts him 64 yards behind Bill Brown at 13. So that could be the next one that he passes.
I don't know if you have the info in front of you. Where's
I'm looking it up right now.
Where's Chris
Carter?
Carter?
Number 1.
Is he number 1?
At 12,383. Adam Thielen's only at 3,113 right now, so it's going to be a while.
Got a few more seasons left in him to play for the Vikings, though. So,
but if Adam Thielen can get 109 more yards, he will tie Paul Flatley for 12th. So he can move up this chart pretty quick.
So Adam Thielen's at 3113 right now, assuming that he'll get, I'll say 700. Now that's 1,000 for the season. I'm going to say he's going to get 900 more yards. We'll just throw a big number out there. He'd be right at 4,000. He'll be 8th all time.
He will.
Easily. And he'll be right behind Ahmad Rashad. He's up into the greats. He's going to pass Kyle Rudolph, who's been on the team significantly longer than him here shortly. And that's going to be within the next 3 weeks because Kyle Rudolph is at 3382, and he's at 3113 right now. He's going to pass a guy who's been on the team quite a bit longer than him, and that's insane to think about. But, I mean, that's all he does. He just catches passes and does what he's asked, and he's better.
The accolades are not going to stop for Adam Thielen. They're just going to keep piling on. And, you've got that list about how we went from, $500 scholarship, undrafted. It's going to keep going and going and going and going at the rate, like the trajectory that his career is on. You're going to add Vikings ring of honor to this by the time it's all said and done if he keeps going.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, he's still pretty young too. Let's click on his name real quick and get his age. So he's 28. So I'd give him at least 3 more years in his prime before they start to say people slow down in football, depending if he can stay healthy. Yeah, I don't see why not.
He's only got 69 games played, and to be honest, a lot of the years that he was building himself up through the practice squad, or whether he was a guy that just came into camp, and when he was not playing a lot of snaps on offense, when he was playing special teams, he is physically young for his age when it comes to a football age. He's only played 69 games in his career, and not all of those were on offense.
5 seasons. He started 2 his first year. 10 and 16, all 16 last year. Obviously, as long as he doesn't get injured, he'll start all the games this year. So really the emergence, even though last year was 1,000 yards, the emergence only came 2 seasons ago. So, and I think we can all agree. I wanted to talk about this, but we'll throw it in now. I mean, I don't think that anybody can disagree. He's the number 1 receiver on the team. And that's just a crazy thing to think about, because if you're going to cover the number 1 receiver on a team, you're going to leave Stephon Diggs and Kyle Rudolph one-on-one, and that's a nightmare. So we really have it. How long has it been since we could say, man, I'm not worried about the offense at all? And I'm not talking about when we had AP. I'm talking about an aerial attack. It was back to the Randy Moss, Chris Carter era, was it not?
Randy Moss, Chris Carter, Jake Reed.
Yep.
It's been a long
Drum
time.
Simpson and Jenksy Cat. That's what it's all about.
Well, I mean, artificially, when Brett Favre was with the team in 2009, I mean, yeah,
he made Sidney Rice look real good.
Yeah, he did.
Percy Harvin's rookie year was no joke. Percy looked fantastic.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, but sustainably long term, I mean, you got to go back a while for there to be like multiple seasons in a row.
Yeah, shout out. We love Adam Thielen on the show. There's nothing but love.
He's one of my favorite players on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love watching him every week. He's always going to make, and it seems like it's not even just one. He's always going to make 1 or 2 catches that you're just like, how did he do that? They always leave me, looking like, wow. He gives me the wow every game. So I'm very happy to have him on the team, and we're all big fans here.
Was that someone joked in the chat that Kirk Cousins has him on his fantasy team?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll give somebody a shout out if they can come up with the whitest team name ever that Kirk Cousins would have. Find out what would Kirk Cousins' fantasy football name be. It's the whitest thing known to mankind. So please, somebody, you guys spit off some suggestions of what the whitest fantasy football name would be for Kirk Cousins if he had a team. Moving on, let's talk about another great Viking that we talked about a couple minutes ago, Kyle Rudolph. He's off to a faster start than you might realize. I know the love goes to Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, but he's caught 23 receptions in 5 games, the most of his career through 5 games. He has 113 yards after the catch. This makes him 8th in the NFL among tight ends, and his average yards after the catch, a 4.9. So almost right there to halfway to a first down after he catches everything. That's pretty crazy. I didn't realize he was off to this good a start.
Yeah. Didn't we talk about how Kirk Cousins loves to throw to tight ends when we signed him, and we had kind of hoped that Kyle Rudolph would see some production? Well, you might not realize it, but the production is there for Kyle Rudolph.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest knocks on Kyle Rudolph is that he doesn't get those yards after the catch. He doesn't fight very hard for those. He just kind of like falls down. And to be honest, we've seen none of that this year.
Right? Not once. I love it. I was looking up some other stats.
He's fought for a couple first downs this season.
He absolutely has.
For us too. Definitely. Yep. How many touchdowns does he have this year? That's kind of my one knock on him. I wish he was more of a.
I'll look at it right now.
Well, you can have that same kind of knock on Adam Thielen too. He catches so many footballs, puts up so many yards.
Right.
But it's Stephon Diggs that gets those touchdowns.
Correct. Yeah. This year, Kyle Rudolph has 2 touchdowns through 5 games so far. 229 yards. Yeah. Pretty good.
I'd like to see
a game.
I would like to see that number go up. I think he should be a bigger threat in the end zone. But like you said, they all go to Stephon Diggs. So what do you do?
All the touchdowns go to Aldrick Robinson. That's where it is.
I don't care. Yeah. That's fine. I'm good with that. I'm totally good with that.
Hashtag fantasy points.
You guys got me curious now. I'm on Pro Football Reference. Let me look him up one more time. Because it says that Diggs has 2 touchdowns on the year. I believe he said he has 2. So he has 3 on the year, and Adam Thielen on the year has 3 as well. So that's not bad.
No, it's a lot more balanced than last year.
Yeah, he was getting all the yards and none of the touchdowns last season. That had to be a little frustrating. Moving on for another quick hit, former Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson says that the Vikings could use him right now. He was quoted as saying, "I could be beneficial to them right now," Peterson said of the Vikings in an interview with the St. Paul Pioneer Press this past weekend. In other news, last night, former Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson suffered a dislocated shoulder Monday during the Redskins' 43-19 loss. Adrian. Is this not the most Adrian Peterson thing to happen?
Sorry, I had to lump those two together when I wrote that. I just had
I'm
to.
not even – don't take it. If this is your first time listening to the show, I am never – even with our arch rival Green Bay Packers, I'm never going to seriously say, I hope Aaron Rodgers gets hit by a car or something like that. I don't wish that because I'm not a piece of shit as a person. I don't mean anything mad when I chuckle at this, but this is just a running theme with this dude. Adrian, you're going to go in the Hall of Fame. You're going to go in the Vikings Ring of Honor, I'm pretty sure. Just shut up. Just play. Why would you even say that? Like, I don't know. First of all, the Pioneer Press, why are you still talking to Adrian Peterson? But why would you mention the Vikings when you're on a team that gave you a shot when 31 others didn't? I don't understand why this is still a thing.
Well, Adrian also said he expects to sign a one-day contract and retire as a member of the Vikings, and that Minnesota should definitely consider retiring his number.
That's a good one to put as a social media question. Thank you, Adrian Peterson. That's the next week's social media question.
We will do that because that is a good one.
Yeah, that is just for the fact that, I don't know, George Iloka looks funny with number 28, and I don't know if anybody else has worn 28, after AP left. But, yeah, that looks funny on everybody else except for him. So,
I mean, he is a former Viking.
Mm-hmm.
He is a former Viking MVP and their all-time leading rusher. So that is a solid point. It's a good question.
I don't know. We talk about the jersey thing quite frequently, and you guys know I don't know. I think it's cool when you can kind of track the history of a number, like Harrison Smith wearing 22. You can go back if you've never done it and look at the former Vikings greats that have worn number 22 for Minnesota,
or 93, or
84. Right. You can't retire every number for the Vikings, and that's just my opinion here.
Correct, and you got to remember it's a 53-man roster, but they're going to have you're going to run out of numbers. It's pretty much what you're saying, and what I'm trying to say too. So I don't know. This is going to be a good one. This is going to be a great one to talk about. Have they retired Randy Moss's number?
Nope.
No.
If you're not retiring Randy Moss's number, I don't think you need to retire Adrian.
You're not retiring Adrian Peterson's number if Randy Moss's number isn't retired.
No, that's just my
Moss never led the Vikings in receiving yards. Moss wasn't around as long as Adrian Peterson was. I mean, there's arguments.
That's true. Mm-hmm. I can't dispute that. So that's it for our quick hits. I told you guys about a football game, but I want to let Adam talk about the Survival League update because he's pretty happy after this weekend.
Yeah, after everything settled with the dust settling, only one individual remains with no strikes, and it's me. Come on, guys. Come on. I don't want to win my own stuff.
This is Adam running his mouth to you guys. You need to get your life together. All right.
It was not a very good week for you guys. There was a lot of struggling going on. Tennessee hit you guys a little hard, and that one got quite a few people with strikes. But there is some good news along the way. There are several teams that are still working hard and only have a couple strikes heading in. So it's a good time to reload, reevaluate, see what you got going on. But there are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of you who are in danger of being eliminated with one more strike. And I see that several people have already made their picks for the week, so I highly recommend that you go in and do that, especially if you want to pick one of the teams that are playing on Thursday. Go in, make that pick, make sure you don't get a strike for not making a pick, because that's the absolute worst way to do it. And come on, guys, I don't want to win my own stuff. If I got to pick the worst possible matchup for 3 weeks to lose out so you guys got a chance, don't make me do that, though, because I hate that. I want you guys to beat me.
I won't let Adam do that. I won't let him. I'll talk him out of it. You guys have to earn this one. This is part of the perks, and we preach it every show, especially at the end when we plug all our stuff. This is a perk to listening to the show. You can get free Viking swag. You just got to do your part. It's just like fantasy football. Don't be the guy that talks about it all year, and then you don't adjust your lineup, and you win one game out of however many is in your league that year. I have people like that in both of my leagues right now. They hype it up, they talk about it, and then they never adjust it. It's so easy. It's free stuff, man. Free stuff for you guys from us.
Good stuff too.
Yeah, four teams were eliminated last week, and then we had 5 teams the week before and 2 teams the week before that. There are way too many teams getting eliminated early with 3 strikes going on. There shouldn't be 10 people gone already.
Especially with not picking the team. Like, I can understand if you made an adjustment somewhere, or you thought, like, I would have picked the Vikings over the Bills. I would have been one of those people that picked them. Mm-hmm. But at least, it's kind of a surprise. Not because, I forgot to do this. I'm going to school online right now. You don't turn in your homework on time, and you just kick yourself in the rear end because you can put in 100% effort. You're going to get a docked grade for it. And in this case, losing. So if you want free stuff, do your part and beat Adam.
It's true. Do it, please.
All right. Now that we're out here promoting stuff and we're done with that, let's talk about this game. Because I want to give a shout out to Philadelphia and everybody and hold this L, baby. I hate the Eagles. I hate the fans. And I'm so glad we went in their stadium and whooped their ass this Sunday. I was so happy. So happy. And I got to give a shout out to my former boss and, longtime military friend. He's been my boss for a while. Philadelphia Eagle fan. And he said something the other day. He said, hey, we're still the champs. And I was like, that didn't help you at all getting your ass kicked Sunday. So.
That was last year.
That Dallas Cowboys talk about, look how many championships we have. Take your 2-3 record and get out of my face, man. I'm rubbing it in right now. I'm so happy we beat the Eagles. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because we got the floor mopped with us for the NFC Championship game. So I'm very happy that the Vikings came together and did what they should have did last year. And, let's jump right into it. The Vikings won 23-21. There were some struggles. Don't get me wrong. There were some struggles everywhere, but we found a way, and we kind of look like our old self that we're used to seeing the last couple of years. So,
well, this was a game, too, that Minnesota had mostly in hand throughout the game. At halftime, it was 17-3 Minnesota, and that didn't really reflect how Minnesota did because they had 2 missed field goals during that time. So Minnesota actually came out and controlled this game fairly well. Fourth quarter, they played a little bit softer defense, allowed Philadelphia to kind of crawl back in. And I hate that soft defense, but Minnesota was able to hold on. And it was a game that really wasn't super competitive throughout.
Yeah, there was lots of pressure. The defense showed up tremendously, made Carson Wentz uncomfortable from the get-go. The Vikings ground game still struggled. I'm looking here. We only had 77 rushing yards. Dalvin Cook. First of all, I'm going to talk about Dalvin Cook in a little bit because I got some words for Vikings fans out there, and they rhyme with "shut the hell up." But he wasn't playing because he's nursing a hamstring. Kirk Cousins was lights out again. It just felt good. And even though we struggled early on, like in the special teams area for Dan Bailey, he came back. It's like Dumb and Dumber and totally redeemed himself with this 50-plus yard bomb. It was just an exciting game all throughout. And like Adam said, it wasn't really that competitive until the very end. You were kind of nervous, but once we made the field goal, you kind of knew that the game was a lock. So
I admit my blood pressure went up real high at that outside kick.
But... Oh yeah. We'll break it down, but first we're going to do what we always do here on the show. We're going to give away game balls, donkeys, and we're going to talk about the play of the game. I'm giving my game ball to Kirk M.F. Cousins, man. Holy crap. That dude was making throws, and people were in his face. They were in his face all day, but he managed to make some throws under pressure. And quarterback rating, 72.2. Overall rating, 109.6. He was 30 of 37. 301 yards, 1 touchdown, and again, no interceptions. He is worth every penny thus far through these 5 games. Please continue it. Knock on wood. Kirk Cousins, you get my game ball for balling out, man.
Yeah, I think Kirk has been as advertised for the Vikings. This is our record on the season might not be what we had hoped so far, but I don't think you can really blame any of that on Kirk. He has played some lights out football for Minnesota. He is a step up from Case Keenum, who I'm a big fan of Case. I love Case, but I think that you're seeing why the Vikings spent the money they spent to bring in this quarterback. I'm a big fan of Kirk Cousins.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting was that Kirk Cousins had an average throw time from snap to throw of 2.38 seconds.
Doesn't seem like it.
The fact that he had that long with that offensive line, that was the 5th quickest in the NFL. So when you think about the offensive line not giving them a lot of help, and right now the Vikings are averaging the most 5-yard or shorter passes in the NFL. So there's a reason why Kirk Cousins has to get rid of the ball so fast and why he's got to look for these targets early on. It's because he doesn't have time to throw the ball down the field. But when you have receivers like Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs who can turn a 5-yard, 6-yard, 7-yard catch into a 14, 15-yard play on a pretty regular basis, everything comes up pretty gravy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the obvious choice here, and I see it in our chat, is Adam Thielen. He like we talked about earlier, he's a record breaker. But man, I think Kirk's playing the best ball of his career. Now he might not have as many touchdowns. He's on pace to set a pretty decent number. I think he's going to end up with around 30 this year, but he's not going to have the highest number of touchdowns or yardage this year. But just when you break down the film and you watch him play, the decisions he's making, they're great.
Well, right now the Vikings can't run the football. They can't.
We're the last in the league still, I'm pretty positive, and it's kind of ugly.
And the fact that the offensive line can't protect for him very well, it says a lot for what he's been able to do.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what's great too? I hate to keep going. I know we'll get to you guys in your game balls, but every time we have a win, and even if we have a loss, he still says thanks, but he always gives the offensive line love and shout them out. It's the first thing he talks about every time. I respect the hell out of that. Because our offensive line's not that good. I don't care if he covers it up because they're his friends and he doesn't want to poop on people, publicly in the media.
He doesn't want to do an Odell Beckham.
Or
all over him.
Yeah, the Steelers. I'm glad we don't have that kind of drama here. Thank God.
For sure.
Well, for my game ball, I went with Adam Thielen. I think that the 5 games in a row with 100+ yards receiving is a really big deal. I think that's an awesome statistic to have. I think Adam is just a clutch player in general. He always comes up with big plays. And like you guys said, maybe it's a short pass that he's able to break for a long game. He can always, and I just trust that you can put the ball in his hands and good things will happen with him. So Adam Thielen gets my game ball.
Completely understandable. I went on the defensive side of the ball. I went with Stephen Weatherly, who has been doing an amazing job filling in the absence of Everson Griffin. This game, he didn't have the stats on the sheet that you really look for when you look for a defensive end, but he did register that 1 sack fumble that was recovered by Minnesota, and that was a big game-changing moment. But he also did register several other pressures throughout the game, and the fact that he's been able to step in and play at such a high level when really there was a question about depth at the position after Brian Robinson was let go. So the fact that Weatherly's been able to step in and play as well as he has is amazing and a true testament to this team. And even with Bauer on the shelf right now and no real way of knowing when Everson Griffin will be able to come back, Vikings fans got to feel pretty good about having Weatherly available.
I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not just saying this. I'll put down my word for it. I knew that not having Everson Griffin was going to be a little bit of, kind of a slump. It's going to put you in a little bit of a funk. I had no doubt in my mind that the next man up kind of rotation that we have here, the coaching that we have here, all that, I had no doubt in my mind these guys were going to step up. And I'm really, really excited. I'm glad you picked him, Adam. And I'm not surprised you picked him either. You always get to pick.
Well, Everson Griffin too also has that energy with him, that leadership. Just when he takes the field, it feels different. Weatherly isn't quite that kind of player. He doesn't give out that kind of energy. He's more of the guy that just goes up, puts his nose to the grindstone, and gets things done. But when Everson is able to return, you'll get that leadership back. But as far as production on the field, Weatherly is getting it done.
Yeah, he's building great for this game. He had 2 total tackles, both solo, a sack, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hit. So, I mean, he's making his presence known. For a guy that's just coming off the bench, he's doing pretty damn good. So,
who'd you like this game, Dorian?
I was going to go with Adam Thielen, but I'm actually giving it to Linval Joseph.
There you go.
Awesome.
He
awesome
played
pick.
solid. He played solid all this game. He came up with that sack first before that pop-up interception, that pick 6, when he was all I heard was Chris Berman. That stumbling, fumbling, bumbling, just, so, I mean, pretty much, and I feel like that was like a momentum changer in our, on our end when that happened, so I mean, we couldn't even go wrong. Like, all of you guys, commend you for your game balls because pretty much everybody that we named was well deserving of it.
We had a good one in the chat, too. Scott Schwab said his game ball goes to Dan Bailey. Without the final 3 points from 52 yards, there's a chance that we don't win the football game. I can see where you're coming from with that one, Scott. I definitely do think that coming back after he missed a couple kicks early on is an important skill and thing for this team to have.
That's just a pro move.
Yeah,
my mom was talking about it. You know, they're from Carolina. They're huge Panther fans. They came out with a kick that won the game this weekend. If you guys didn't hear, Graham Gano made a freaking 63-yarder to win the game.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That was incredible to watch. But she said, I didn't like how your kicker just shrugged his shoulders after he misses 2 field goals. I'm like, well, what do you want him to do? Like, run on the field and throw it back through and get a retry? Like, you just gotta move on. Like, you gotta shrug your shoulders and say, cool, I'll just make it next time. And thank God he did, because from where he was kicking from, I was like, Jesus, man, this is gonna be rough. And I was, I think everybody kind of cringed. We're like, ugh. But when we saw it was going to make its way through, we were super happy. So not a bad idea, Scott. I can see where you're coming from.
There'd have been more strikes in that fantasy league if you'd missed that kick.
I agree with that.
Bet on the Vikings this weekend, huh? Oh, wow.
No, I meant with Carolina.
Oh, okay.
I agree with Adam. I think there's something going on with the holder and some of the missed field goals, but I don't know. It's tough for us to say.
There's funk across the league this weekend because kickers were missing everywhere. Mason Crosby is usually a sure-legged kicker, and he missed a ton of field goals this weekend. There's just some funk across the league. You move the extra points back a little bit, and everybody just loses their mind. Like, I don't know. It was something weird this weekend, but there were also some clutch kicks too. So kickers, get your shit together.
For our donkeys, both me and Mr. Smith went with Rock Thomas, who did not run far enough out on a swing pass that ended up being a backwards pass. And that was super frustrating because those are the kind of plays that you just can't.
And it's a turnover. It's an unneeded, unnecessary turnover, and that's exactly why I picked him. You got to catch – I know you're running back. I know that it's not your first specialty, but you're wide open. It's not a hard throw. It's not a Brett Favre, John Elway bullet. Catch that ball. And because he didn't, it's a live ball because he wasn't in the right place. And then it's a turnover that we lost. So I was very upset with that, especially with Dalvin Cook being out. This is your time to step up. And that was awful. Even
in the run game, he struggled with 4 carries for 8 yards. He busted one of them for 6, but then that means the other 3 went for a combined 2. And you gotta, when you were the shiftier back of the 2, where you're supposed to be coming out of the backfield, catching passes,
right,
making players miss, Rock Thomas just really wasn't up to advertised right there.
That is not how you get yourself back on the field. He doesn't have the benefit of the doubt of being a former first-round draft pick like some other players on this team.
It's true.
He will not continue to get touches if that's what's going to happen when he's on the field. And it sucks because I really liked him in preseason. He was a lot of fun to watch, but that's the difference between preseason and regular season.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Our game-changing moment, I think all of us went with Linval, correct?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing better.
Big man with football. It's the best play in sports.
And then he put on his thug shades, thug life shades, and he got some oxygen. Mm-hmm. He's like, sit down and hold my beer. I'm not getting up for about 5 minutes.
But I did skip over 2 donkeys. We missed Mr. West and Mr. Foley's donkeys. So we should probably discuss those.
Well, I went with the Vikings ground game in general. We kind of already touched upon it.
What jersey number does he wear?
All of them, all of the ground game, Adam, because none of them can get it going for this.
Hey, Latavius Murray averaged 3.8 yards on the ground, 42 yards total on 11 carries. He didn't have that bad of a game.
He didn't, but I need to see more. I expect more from him.
I don't think we've had I think they were talking about it today. I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but screw a 100-yard rusher. I don't think we've had a 50-yard rusher the whole season. What?
That and Philly does have the number 1 run defense in the NFL, so.
Yeah, I'll give you a slight pass for that. Dorian, who's your donkey, man?
My donkey goes to whoever made the decision to put Laquan Treadwell on the field.
Boo.
Jeez.
I thought Laquan did fine. What did he do?
He blocked for the running game, or while other people caught balls that he was supposed to catch.
Okay, basically he's doing football stuff, whatever. He doesn't get praise
Hey.
for that.
He caught 3 passes for 21.
I just want to see
Yeah, there you go, Adam.
Whatever. I just want to see more Aldridge Robinson. I want to see more of him.
Can't
Oh, wow. I got a quick story for you guys before we jump in and break down the stats. So I do a little bit of Ubering on the side whenever I'm not doing homework or at work, and I wore this hoodie that I got yesterday. I was driving around. It was a holiday here. I got a nice hoodie with the large logo and a trucker hat with Viking stuff on it. And I picked up the meal for someone, and I walk in, and the guy's like, "It's a cool hoodie. I'm not a big fan of the team, but I like it." And I was like, "Cool, who's your team?" He's like, "Well, my cousin's actually a coach for them." And I said, "What? We're in El Paso. Why is that a thing?" And I looked it up right now, and it's a real thing. Robert Rodriguez is the assistant defensive lines coach. So that's cool. I just wanted to throw that out there because I talked to somebody who knows I'm going to go back and annoy this guy. He's a native of El Paso, Texas. Was a standing running back at Montwood High School, like 3 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. And that's pretty cool. There's some ties down here. There's a lot of Viking ties in this little
Yeah, that is
city.
pretty cool. I like that. I like that a lot. Really quick, Scott Schwab has his another donkey for us to add in. Mike Zimmer for busting out that the conservative defense at the end of the game. You know,
Yeah, that gets frustrating. I want to see Mike Zimmer put his foot on the throat of teams and just shut them down. That's what I want to see.
Is anyone a fan of the prevent defense? Like anyone ever been like, wow?
If the time is if it's beneficial regarding the time, sure. I didn't hate it as much as probably everyone else because assuming that people do their job, and Adam Thielen all gave us a scare when that ball bounced a little bit, but assuming that people do their job, we're going to get the ball back. We're going to run the clock down and win.
2-score game is too close. You don't do that in a 2-score game.
You don't. Like, my pet peeve with this whole game is pretty much because of how our defense played so well, you know what I'm saying, with the first half, pretty much it just seemed like we should have just kept on what you just said, Adam. We should have kept our foot on the gas, you know, and just really stuck it to them. You know, that soft stuff, I'm trying to be cool, that soft stuff, that's what allowed Philadelphia to come back to make it at least look like, you know, to make the scoreboard look like it was an actual game. We had Philadelphia the whole game. We actually came together on both sides of the ball. And yeah, that was really a thorn in my side of, you know, saying that soft defense towards the end.
I want to touch a little bit more on Mr. West's talking about the running game.
I do, it's not my fault.
The Vikings' leading rusher right now on the season is Latavius Murray with 106 yards.
Cook is playing, but I still don't think he's healthy. Like, he's not Dalvin Cook healthy at this point. Does that make sense?
Sign autographs in a room by himself for $80?
Sure, let him do that. You guys
found a way to work that in here.
You guys know what I mean, though. Like, I know he's out on the field, and he's playing like he didn't play last week, but he can't be 100%.
I don't know if it's that. I just think this offensive line sucks that much.
Yes.
I think they're just trash, man. I don't know how else to say it. And it sucks because I want to like the guys, but like Mike Rimmer, he's been very, very, very subpar, and especially the money we paid him. And I don't know, man. I love like the other guys stepping in, like Brian O'Neill. Let's give him hell, give him heart, but he's just not ready.
Brian O'Neill's still too small. He's still bulking up.
He's just not ready to it. Maybe he'll be ready, fully ready next year, but for the guys that are starters, I don't know. And it doesn't help that our freaking O-line coach died. Like, I'm sure that's been a hamper on the team. And I don't know how many times you got to look at his memoir or whatever and look and say, let's do this for Tony. But I'm sure that doesn't help. But man, these guys are just massively underimpressing and underperforming. Like,
and Jake brings up in the chat, he's like, "Would you guys want to see more running with the wide receivers, kind of like how they used to use Percy Harvin?" I'm actually not opposed to Stephon Diggs getting a couple end-around sweeps, whatever. I know Adam hates gadget.
I do hate gadget plays.
But Stephon Diggs kind of makes them work a little bit.
Hey,
but I don't want to see him.
Oh, sorry,
I was just going to say, I don't want to see him get banged up and hurt, taking unnecessary hits on end-around sweeps.
If we do that,
and
this Wildcat. Is what we do. We just go ahead and give it to this guy who never gets the ball anyways, named Laquan Treadwell, and we'll let him do it.
who
I'm
is not
kidding.
known for his speed.
Yeah,
you're going to give
not known for his speed. We're going to do that. Yeah,
you're going to give it to him
I don't know,
on a
man.
gut sweep. Laquan Treadwell Wildcat formation. They'll never see it coming.
If you're going to do that, just line up and toss the ball to CJ Ham. That works. That's what works.
Hey, he's pretty sure.
Yes,
He's turning into the Jarius Wright of fullbacks here. I love it.
Hell of an analogy. The Jarius Wright.
I told everybody, and I told all my Carolina fans, it's like, you're fucking welcome in advance for Jarius Wright. That dude is Mr. Third Down, and he's been all right for the Panthers this year. He's been all right.
Good for him.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to I say this. I haven't watched anything in depth about Carolina, but I have a feeling from the stuff that I've seen and the stuff that I keep getting pictures from my friends, they're going to re-sign him. And I've missed the hell out of that guy because I don't like Laquan Treadwell. All right, I don't know how else to say it. Damn it, Dorian. You got me all mad about Laquan Treadwell again.
Eric Grendel in the chat. DeFilippo calls double reverse wide receiver pass. Adam throws remote at TV. That's correct. That is the way that would work.
Hey, Mr. Smith, I feel like Dewey Cox, them on Walk Hard, like his father, like the wrong kid died. That's
That is a fantastic
reference.
I wish Jarius Wright would have stayed in Laquan would have took his ass to Carolina.
Oh, my God.
And when the Vikings pull gadget plays, that makes me want to rip my sink off the wall. That's what happens.
Hey, the whole league, we'll take Laquan for a fifth. We'll find another Stephon, all right? Somebody take this on our hands.
No,
I'm just
another kicker with that pick, but anyways,
Oh man, let's run through this game real quick. We'll go through the stats and try to knock those out. I already mentioned Kirk Cousins' stats. We had 77 total. Hold on, I got to ask this before I keep going forward. How is it that the receivers get credit for 301 yards? Kirk Cousins' name beside of him says 301, but the team collectively it's always smaller. 298. Somebody tell me why that is. Why does that happen? It's the same thing for the Eagles. Carson Wentz, 24 35 through 31, 311 for Carson Wentz, but the team only got 283 passing yards. What is that about? Skill. Explain this.
If you're talking about Philly, I don't think Wentz was the only one who threw the football, right?
No, it says it's just attempts for passing. It's only one for each team. But both of them don't. Their team average doesn't add, or the team total doesn't add up to the quarterback total. But the receiving total adds up to the quarterback total. What is this sorcery, and why is it a thing? Somebody explain this to me. I'm gonna throw this task to somebody else.
Because you subtract the yards for the sacks.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
1 for 3. Let's go back down. I need to know this. I need to know if this is it. Is that's 100% confirmed?
It's the way the math works out.
3.
Adam, you're the math guy.
That is it. He's right. Okay, so I'm looking now. Thank you. And I learned something new today, guys. This is why you should study stuff. So Carson Wentz was sacked 3 times, lost 28 yards, 311, 283. That's 28. 301 minus 3, 1 sack for 3 yards. Kirk Cousins, 298. Adam Carlson figured it out. The wizard. Thank you.
No problem.
He's real happy right now. He looks really, really good.
The big brain on Adam.
Hey, that's it. All right, so we already went through the passing, the rushing. There were 5 runners for 77 yards. Kirk Cousins and Mike Boone ran each. Kirk Cousins carried the ball 5 times and only got a yard. God, that's embarrassing. Mike Boone 1 for 1. Rock Thomas 4 for 8. Stephon Diggs 2 for 25. Latavius Murray 11 for 42. No rushing touchdowns. We got to fix that. I think we can all agree. Here's the great part. Receiving, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 receivers in this game. Aldrick Robinson had a target, but he didn't catch anything. Adam Thielen, 7 of 10 for 116 and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs, 10 of 11 for 91. Kyle Rudolph, 5 for 5 for 41. Laquan Treadwell, 3 for 4 and 21 yards. Latavius, 2 for 2 for 14. CJ Ham, Rock Thomas, and David Morgan all caught a pass. There were some fumbles. Kirk Cousins did fumble and lose one, which has kind of been his only Achilles heel so far. He does lose the football. Pat Elflein fumbled, but nothing was lost there. Linval Joseph and Eric Kendricks both got fumbles, and they recovered them. Eric Kendricks was the one who helped out with the goal, or I forget who knocked it out. Eric Kendricks with that goal line stand on Jay Ajayi. He was the one who recovered it. And, of course, we already talked about Linval Joseph returning that pick six. It looked like a refrigerator running with the football, which is awesome. The defense running down really fast. This is a good surprise to hear. Anthony Barr led the team along with Eric Kendricks, 6 total tackles, 5 solo. He had a quarterback hit and half a sack. Eric Kendricks had a half a sack. Anthony Barr had a tackle for loss. The other leaders were Andrew Sandeo, Mike Hughes, Linval Joseph, Harrison Smith, Xavier Rhodes, and Stephen Weatherly going down the list. I'm looking here. We had 3 total sacks as a defense, 8 quarterback hits. And, yeah, pretty solid outing from the defense that day. It was pretty good. No interceptions, no kick returns, only punt returns. That's team touchback right there. If you guys didn't know, no kick returns. I love that strategy. Punt returners were Mike Hughes and Brandon Zylstra. Hughes 1 for 13, Zylstra 1 for 9. Dan Bailey was 3 of 5 on the field goals and 2 of 2 for extra points. And Matt Will punted twice 2 times for 78 yards. So those are your stats.
Yeah, not the best punting outing, but hopefully we'll see that improve a little bit more.
Shit, not the best kicking outing either from the second most accurate kicker ever, but he turned it around, so I guess he'll get a pass. And I love the confidence Mike Zimmer had in supporting him afterwards. He said, hey, when I sent him out there to kick that 53-yarder, there was no doubt in my mind he was going to make it. I'm sure he was bullshitting on that. I'm sure he was a little nervous, but it's cool. Support your kicker, man. I like it.
Yeah, and Adam's favorite announcer Troy Aikman was really shitting all over Dan Bailey about how the Cowboys made the correct decision on letting him go because he just hasn't been able to kick since he came in Minnesota.
I am so excited that we don't have Troy Aikman again next week.
Troy Aikman sucks. Right? I used to complain
2 weeks in a row is too much.
I think I used to complain about Chris Collinsworth because he sounds like he's had one too many screwdrivers at lunch. He's like, But I enjoy his knowledge now and the little nuggets he throws out. I beg for Chris Collinsworth now compared to Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman sucks.
Collinsworth just sounds smarmy to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can deal with smarmy. I can't deal with Aikman. Aikman's just no.
Now here's a guy.
I'm looking at Pro Football Focus right now, and the Vikings performed best. They got their best grade in the passing game, getting an 80.4, despite their pass blocking being a rating of 52.2, which you normally don't see those two things like that.
Right.
They had an overall offensive grade of 67.5 compared to a defensive grade of 58.6. Their run defense struggled greatly with 44.1. And to be honest, I didn't think the Vikings did that horribly against the run, but that's Pro Football Focus for you. They'll pick up on the stuff I miss.
I have to talk about that now that we're here talking about Eagles rushers, and I want to make a joke and I want to say sorry to one of their players. Jay Ajayi got the trade of his, I think, one of the biggest trades ever. He was not happy with the Dolphins last year. He ends up going to the Eagles, who wins the Super Bowl. And he was behind LeGarrette Blount. So when teams were tired of getting smashed in the face by LeGarrette Blount, he came in and did his thing, and he won a championship. Unfortunately, it was confirmed today that he tore his ACL, so we wish him nothing but the best, even though I can't stand the fans in Philly, and I'm super glad that we kicked the shit out of him. I'm really sorry that you got injured, man. Speedy recovery to Jay Ajayi. The fun part of the Eagles that I want to talk about is if you go online, and I saw this on Instagram at Skull Bros, I'm kind of iffy on some of his posts because I think some of them are kind of douchey. There, I said it. Talking about players getting injured and stuff. And, I don't like Viking fans who are overly passionate about talking shit about the Packers. Like, they've kind of kicked your ass for the last decade and a half. You shouldn't talk about them like that. I think it's just a lot of jealousy, but he did put up a thing today that was super hilarious. Somebody went to Wikipedia and looked up Jalen Mills, and they put in that he was Adam Thielen's son because he was just burning the shit out of him all game. And I thought that was really funny, so I wanted to share that with y'all. I saw it today, and it was pretty damn funny. They were getting into a scuffle too because of like one time Adam Thielen didn't catch anything, and I think it was Fletcher Cox that went over and was like, "Dude, go sit your ass on the bench. He's killing you today." It was awesome.
The chat is uniting in their dislike for Troy Aikman in the announce booth, so I got to feel good about that.
Yeah, you guys know what's up. Y'all know what's up.
I also see we got a thumbs down here in the live chat. So if you don't like what we're doing, let us know. Give us something to talk about in the chat. Ask us some questions. Let's interact.
Maybe it was Troy Aikman.
It probably is Troy Aikman.
Not going to
I
change how I
probably
feel.
was.
Not going to change how I feel at all. Troy Aikman, you're terrible.
Nope.
And you're the most
love
overrated
you,
Hall of Fame
Aikman.
quarterback ever. There, I said it. You're the most overrated Hall of Fame quarterback ever.
The Cardinals game will be on Fox, Jake. Be sure to check it out.
Wow. Troy Aikman, the most overrated Hall of Fame quarterback?
Absolutely.
110%.
You guys
Actually,
are funny. You're not just saying that just because of his commentary. Like,
no,
No.
I firmly believe it. Just like I was listening to Levitard, as I always will give them love on the show. They were doing their top 5 Pat statters of all time. And, of course, some of that stuff they do for controversy or whatever. But Emmitt Smith across the board was their number one. I was like, I'm not mad at him for it.
Guys,
I wish they would. Guys.
Troy Aikman took his thumbs down away.
Really?
Awesome.
oh shit,
Thank you,
so
Troy.
it's Aikman. Okay.
Nice. Well, I gave a thumbs up because I love this show. So and I'm a dude like that. I'll spike our numbers. I don't care. I'm a Pat statter. I'm the number 1 Pat statter of all time.
There you go. Gotta get those garbage points.
We're looking
Garbage
here.
stats.
This is a cool thing that Kyle West kind of put together. I'm
What?
going
What did I do?
to take credit for anything I can on the show.
We already
because-
did the stat of the week or the quote of the week.
Oh yeah, we already did it. Never mind. I was going to throw that in there, but he kind of threw it in earlier in the show. So that's a cool thing. Adam Thielen. Why did I say Adam Thielen? Because he's awesome. Kyle West
Got
put
Adam
this
Thielen on
together.
the mind.
Yeah, it's in his quotes. Kyle West put that together. We tried to throw something together because Zimmer is not one to be lacking of awesome things to listen to when he does his press conferences. But we'll give you a Zimmer quote of the week. I don't know that we had a social media question, but we've got one coming up for the next show. We're going to ask about the Adrian Peterson stuff. I did want to talk a little bit going forward before we come to an end. Let's preview this game coming up because I had this penciled in as a guaranteed win, but we're playing a hot off the win train Arizona Cardinal team this Sunday. How do you guys feel about that?
Arizona coming up. 2019 Royal Rumble. Get your tickets now.
Awesome.
Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns. Oh yeah.
And the Rock back to win the Royal Rumble.
Oh.
I'd be okay with that.
No, no, I'm being sarcastic. That's one of the dirt sheets that said that. Yeah, Rock's gonna win the Royal Rumble. Yeah, whatever.
So now that we're going through, I'm looking at the quarters of the season that we're going to be playing. So we started off good. This quarter, we beat the Eagles on the road. This Sunday in Minnesota at US Bank Stadium, 11 a.m. Mountain Time where I'm at, 1 p.m. Eastern for everybody else. The Cardinals will visit the Vikings. I like the Vikings to win this matchup. It's a rookie quarterback. Is Sam Bradford
Sam Bradford.
still quarterback number 3?
They are keeping him inactive on game day so they don't have to pay him his bonus.
Oh, man. How the tides have turned for that guy.
I mean, they might change their mind down the road, but that's what they've been doing so far.
Oh, my God.
Poor Sam Bradford. I'm not going to say poor Sam Bradford. You're like the richest, worst quarterback ever in history. But I loved you while you were here, man, and I really wish those injuries wouldn't have killed you. And also, Jeff Fisher ruined your career, so that sucks. But we're going to play the Cardinals. They have Larry Fitzgerald. They have a great linebacker, Chandler Jones. Patrick Peterson's still there. They have David Johnson at running back. I think that Josh Rosen really gives them a boost, even though he's not the most athletic of the rookie quarterbacks. He's kind of the pure pocket passer. So if he can get it out to Fitzgerald and David Johnson, they could cause some problems. Unfortunately, their win did come against the Jimmy Garoppolo-less 49ers, the C.J. Beathard-led 49ers, because that's who you guys had going this year for the 49ers. But they are coming off a win, so they have a little momentum. I do, however, like the Vikings to win this game by at least 10 points. So I'm going to throw that down there now.
You can't sleep. You can't sleep on them, though.
No, absolutely not.
You just can't, because look at what happened with Buffalo. We were like, oh, we're going to fucking steamroll the Bills, and blah. You seen how that turned out. So you can't sleep on the Arizona Cardinals. I'm just going to say now, this is the weirdest football season I've ever seen, because Tennessee, even though Philly was on the road in Tennessee last week, beat them in overtime. Marcus Mariota with a clutch touchdown in overtime to beat the Eagles. And then what do the Bills do? The Bills beat the Titans that beat the Eagles. I don't even know how this whole playoff thing is going to pan out, because everybody's beating every other team every other week. But to preview it coming up.
Let's talk about something that's going to be really interesting.
Okay.
I am ready, like so ready, to see Adam Thielen versus Patrick Peterson.
Oh, absolutely. That's a good solid point, too, because who's he going to cover? I'm assuming he's going to be on Adam Thielen. If they're smart and they game plan correctly, they're like, hey, this guy has caught five 100+ yard games. You're going to be on him. Who's going to cover Stephon Diggs is my second question.
Can Patrick Peterson stop the streak of Adam Thielen's 100-yard games?
If there's anybody that can do it, I think it's him.
And this is going to be a massive challenge. Patrick Peterson is pretty amazing. Adam Thielen, of course, one of the best route runners in the NFL. Great hands, high effort player.
That double move, though.
This is going to be so much of a matchup to watch. And Arizona does have a lot of talented young players that if they can put things together, they can be very dangerous.
Adam Thielen has the ace up his sleeve. He gets to practice against Xavier Rhodes every single week. So I think he's up to the task to do it. I think he can come out.
That would have held some weight with me, but Xavier Rhodes has kind of sucked this season.
He's been struggling this year so far.
He's been pretty not Xavier Rhodes. So I hope that he's good in practice because he's not been very good on game days. I hate it because I love Xavier. I don't know what the deal is, man. He's getting these old PI calls and kicking flags and getting burnt sometimes. And come on, man. You're not that old yet.
Scott Schwab says if they shoot down Thielen, Diggs will have a huge game.
Yeah, probably.
That's probably quite true. Or we could see the emergence of, a bigger game from Treadwell or maybe Robinson or maybe Cook if he comes back. On the defensive side of the ball, though, what I would really love to see Trey Waynes be able to suit back up. I actually was pretty scared for him during that game when he took a little bit of a blow to the head, and it was a little bit more severe than I thought, and he stayed on the field, and they tried making that cut to follow the receiver and ended up just falling down and couldn't get back up right away. So I'm hoping that this concussion that Trey Waynes is dealing with isn't something more severe that lasts longer, because if they can get him back on the field, I know that fans aren't always as excited about Trey Waynes as I am, because I think he's a really decent corner and great in run support. But I think the Vikings could really benefit to getting him back.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, the defense has turned around back to what we've known. Mike Hughes has stepped in and done a great job. I miss Trey Waynes, and I never thought I'd say that. You don't know what you got till it's gone. He's a speedy guy, and like the move this weekend, I think Mike Zimmer addressed it. I listened to the press conference yesterday, which had a little splendor in it. You guys go check out that press conference within the first 3 minutes and tell me if you hear the same thing.
I like to put some splendor in my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, not this kind of splendor, though. I don't know what the hell that was. I wonder if some of the Vikings, computer guys, are doing that as a joke to see if anybody noticed, because we did. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's dirty and it's weird, and we were like, what the hell? But
dang, I was about to say what it was. Okay, I'll keep my mouth shut.
So I'm wondering, if that same play that Mike Zimmer was talking about on Mike Hughes has been great in coverage. It's just some of them are mismatches in size. His body position was just slightly off. But Trey Waynes has been known for that. I remember, the interception in Green Bay. I remember last season he undercuts Deshaun Jackson for the Bucs, and I thought it was going to be a surefire, 30, 40-yard touchdown. He intercepts it because he's just a master at that kind of stuff. He's got the speed, so I hope he comes back soon.
One of the things I love the most about Trey Waynes is you can pick on him all game. He will maintain a high effort, and he will not let that get him down. Right. He will always put himself in position to make plays. Confidence, not really an issue.
He's got the speed. He's got the athleticism. He can keep up with just about anybody. I really – yeah, like I said earlier, you don't know what you got till it's gone. I'm really missing some Trey Waynes, but shout out to Mike Hughes for stepping up in his absence. So we're in the second quarter of the season, the second 4 games. We started out with the Eagles with a win, which is great. The Cardinals this Sunday at home. Next weekend, the 21st of October, we travel to New York, and the Sam Darnold-led Jets, they put a hurting on the Broncos yesterday. It's kind of surprising. Jets are a sneaky team. It depends on which Jets team you get week to week. And then to end the second quarter of the season on the 28th of October, it's the NFC divisional rematch from last year. The Saints come to town again to face the Vikings. The Saints are red hot right now. They are 4-1. Drew Brees, shout out to Drew Brees. He broke the all-time passing leaders yardage last night, passing Peyton Manning. Man, holy crap.
And after putting Teddy Bridgewater in, the Saints got the win.
Shout out to
That's
Teddy.
all it took. All it took was Teddy.
Oh, man. That's all I got for this week. You guys got anything else you want to talk about?
Nope. Thank you for everybody in the chat. I really appreciate everybody giving some input. Like we said before, if you get in there and start talking and you start bringing up some cool stuff and you start getting, different ideas, we'll talk about it on the show. Like the YouTube page, give the subscribe button a pound, give that notification bell, turn it on. You'll know exactly when we go live. Shout out to the Vikings fan club here in El Paso. They had a cookout this weekend for the Vikings fans only. Got a little free food out of it. Had a good time with those really nice people here that love the Vikings just as much as we do. And, I met up with the guy that's been sending me some messages and just – had a good time. I'm glad he subscribed to the podcast too. So thank you for that. Just like all our stuff and you'll get to interact with us and know when we're going to do this.
Yeah. Right now the Vikings are sitting at 2-2-1. So they have a record right now. They're 500 on the season, which is weird to say, 5 games into the season is that they're 500, but because of that stupid tie, but Minnesota can really take advantage of the schedule. If they can get a couple more wins, maybe even close out with 3 wins here, they are back in position to be on top of the division, especially with the Bears, who, as much as they're playing very well right now, I'm still not completely sold on their offense.
I'm not.
But that defense is so legit.
Defense is legit. They're back to being the monsters of the midway because they have a great linebacker, best defensive player in the league right now. But I don't trust Mitchell Trubisky. And I watched him in college, guys. That was my college team. I don't trust Mitch Trubisky at all. So we'll see.
And then, of course, the Vikings still play the Bears twice, and they play Green Bay again in a game that could be very important when it comes to the division. So there's still a lot of game left to play. Minnesota can put themselves in a really good position to win the division or be in the playoffs by taking advantage of what might be a little bit of a softer schedule towards the end, because the Vikings already ended up taking on Green Bay on the road. And they already played the Rams, who looked like...
Green Bay is very beatable.
They are.
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, the Lions beat them yesterday in Detroit, and the rematch with the Packers comes on Thanksgiving, right around that time. Yeah, I think it's the Thanksgiving, the evening game. And really, the only really scary games that I see, even though the Seahawks looked kind of like their old selves yesterday, the only scary games left on the schedule are the Saints coming up on the 28th of October. And then December 2nd, we have to go to Foxborough and play the Patriots. And I'm not looking forward to that game at all. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. So
I'm just glad the Dolphins aren't looking like too much of a threat anymore.
Yeah, they started off hot, and now
they've
returned to being the Dolphins.
That's what's so fun about the NFL, though. You got these ups and down periods, and then teams kind of even out and show who they really are. And we're getting to a period, I think, where it's like, okay, the Vikings are looking, I think, a more positive outlook at this point than what we were saying, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we might as well call it there. We'll be back next week to talk about the Minnesota Vikings game against the Arizona Cardinals. Not sure if that's going to be a Monday or Tuesday discussion, but we will be
Wednesday
here
or Thursday, Friday
to talk once again. I do want to thank everyone who joined us in the live chat. Always nice to see those double-digit numbers over there, people watching, lots of commentary, and people liking dogs, which is good. The star of the show over there, Kyle Smith's dog.
Man, I love your dog.
He looks like he's depressed, but I promise I take care of him. I don't know why he's so emotionally out of it.
And we do have a couple new staffers over on the Viking Age that have been published articles within the last couple of weeks. So head on over there, check out their articles, give them a little love, start interacting with them. We'd greatly appreciate that. Check out everything over there for Vikings news, rumors, pretty much analysis, whatever it is. We got lots of stuff going on over there. Undead Walking, the season 9 premiere of The Walking Dead just happened, and that was one interesting episode, wasn't it, for those of you who watched? And I'll just say this is going to keep getting a little more interesting because I've had the privilege of watching the next 2 episodes that are coming up, and it gets a little more crazy. So hopefully you all enjoy that as well. And we'll also be breaking down a little bit more from Fear the Walking Dead season 4 as it heads into season 5. And I always like to talk about the comics and video games as well. So check out all that. You guys have anything that you want to promote?
My band, Disposable Ink, a Metallica tribute band. We are playing at the Rock House on Montana Avenue for a Halloween show, almost. Friday, October 26th. And yeah, you should come there or my dog's going to look even more sad. So.
Everyone in the chat agrees that your dog is the best part of the show.
Yes.
Hear that, Eeyore? Thanks.
Got lots of fans out there. Eric Grandal, we'll close with Eric Grandal in the chat saying that he's got the Dolphins over the Bears. Book it, he says.
Oh, God.
Book it.
Oh, wow.
I'm not sure I'd book that one or put any money on that one in Vegas, but you know what? I hope you're right. I absolutely hope you're right.
The live ghost of Dan Marino is going to go inside the body of Ryan Hill.
On that note, I want to thank again everybody who joined us in the chat. Head on over to Facebook, interact with us there. We got Twitter going on. Mr. Smith's been putting some stuff up there on Instagram as well, so we appreciate all that's going on. Any place you can find us as well, iTunes, Stitcher, PodOMatic. Leave a positive review. Give us a heart or whatever they are using their thumb up. I don't know. There's so many different ways of saying you like things on the internet these days.
Don't give us an actual heart. That's illegal.
Maybe not a human one.
I went for the joke there, and it was awful, so we can go ahead and move. We can just throw that one away.
Let's end with that. Stay classy, Minnesota.